Hello again. It's only been 2 years. Sorry about that. The mullet has evolved into a skullet. The previous videos on this channel were covering post-apocalyptic LARP events. And as much as I love those games, I don't think I'm alone when I say this. I think I need a little bit lighter source material right now. Essentially, I've been hankering for some whimsy. So back in 2025, I went looking for that whimsy, and boy, I'll tell you, I found it.
Hell yeah!
What I found was Drachenfest US. I'll give you a vague rundown of what this event is. Drachenfest is a 4-day-long fantasy immersive LARP event. It takes place in Pennsylvania. Drachenfest, you can find yourself knee-deep in immersive roleplay, in period camping, decorum clothing and weapons, battles, taverns, quests, sieges, merchants, cults, orcs, mysteries, and merriment. And that's just a few. With over 1,000 players and a large piece of land, let me tell you what the actual game is. The actual game is a competition between 5 camps. You have silver, shadow, blue, red, and green. Throughout this week-long event, these camps of players are competing for these big eggs, like dragon eggs. These eggs are just a score system. It's how each camp keeps track of how many points they have. Throughout the event, the way you earn these eggs is vast. It could be a gladiator arena. It could be a bardic competition, playing a little loot or whatever. It could be a siege. You can siege each other's camps. Whose eggs are these?
Can I offer you a nice egg in this trying time?
So each of those camps I mentioned has a dragon or an avatar. And these are staff members. Think of them less so as leaders of these camps. They are more like the embodiment of what these camps care about. Like if a tour guide had sick-ass wings and a sick-ass staff. So I put when I say actual game, because this competition you don't even have to take part in. Drachenfest has so many options for play. There are players who do not go near the competition the whole time. There's so much going on and so many players doing so many things that if you let it can kind of make your head spin. Refs at this game are interesting. They work like a normal ref for any sport or other game. They're, of course, there to make sure players are following the rules and being safe and respecting one another. But they also have this special thing where they are actually there to assist players form mechanics and momentum for the activities they're trying to drum up. So if you have a character that wants to head in a very specific direction, or you want to make a quest of your own, those refs are there to assist that. It makes this cool kind of blend between the game runners and the players in this unholy alliance. The one thing that does make you stronger as a player character are guilds. Every single one of these roles that you choose for your character has these guilds. It is not only a way for you to get stronger as this character and learn skills that you can apply in combat or healing or magic or whatever, but a lot of these are also these trainings of how to roleplay those things. So fighting, the Fighters Guild itself, really what it is just teaching you theater combat. So you do get these skills, and when you apply it to this event and more people are trained in these specific ways, it just makes everything cooler and more theatrical. If you go to Drachenfest US's website, they have a rulebook. While you're looking at that rulebook, you might think that some of these roles or these classes or these things you can do, there's some sturdy structural mechanics there, but there's not really a designated exact way to do everything. Everyone has a different way of approaching all different roles and how to play this game, and that is what they cherish, that is what they try to lift. Let's talk about lifting. You will hear a phrase a lot, and I am a big fan. It's called play to lift. You are lifting your opponent. You are lifting your friends. It's all about showing grace to what people are trying to portray. If people are trying to make a storyline or they're trying to make something happen, it doesn't mean that you have to take part in everything. You are more than welcome that if something is just not really rubbing you the right way, you can bounce. That's all good. They have things in that rule book about how to do that while keeping flow of the roleplay in the moment. Even while you are being defeated or while you are losing, you are lifting your opponent. It's fun to lose in a big way. I don't know, if you're fighting somebody, like, it's fun to let people beat you a little bit. This is a theatrical combat. So this isn't just drumming on people. This isn't high-speed fencing stuff. This is making a show of it. Doesn't mean there's not skill in there. Doesn't mean that, especially in the big battles, it kind of becomes a little bit skill-basy. The point is to make it theatrical, make it bombastic, make it interesting. And it kind of hits a flow state. It sounds funny. It sounds weird where you're like, you're not really fighting. What's the really point? It works. Trust me, it works. It just takes a little bit of practice. Really what I'm trying to say is that there's not a right and wrong way to play this game. If you're lifting others and you're enjoying yourself, you're winning. The event runs 4 days and culminates to a final battle at the end between all the camps. I mean, this thing had shield walls. This thing had archers, big monsters like bursting through the line, siege weaponry. It just went so hard. Like all those like fantasy RTS games or like movies or whatever. It felt like that. It was unbelievable. From what it seems like, the camp that wins, it is a lot of bragging rights for sure. And then your banners are hung up in the bazaar. We'll talk about the bazaar here soon. But it just kind of, it becomes the year of the camp that won. It's not like they're just stronger the next year. It's mostly bragging rights. It seems like it's mostly bragging rights. So if this is sounding at all cool to you, you probably have some questions like, how do I make a character? How do I choose a camp? For sure, let's talk about that. And then after that, I want to talk about my first year because it was really, really fun. So for character creation, the lore of Drachenfest is pretty loose, and I think that's good. If you go to the Drachenfest US website, it describes that the avatar that makes the most sense for your character calls through to your world through like a mist, through a magic mist, to basically say, hey, we have this competition happening in our little pocket dimension, in our little realm, and we think you could help us out. Come on down. This character that you choose, it could be from a D&D campaign, it could be from another LARP or another event. It has to be an original character, though. You can't be showing up like, what up, gang? I'm Jon Snow, and I'm about to die of heat stroke with my big fur coat. Something that helped me choose a character a lot was actually looking at the camps first. So I mentioned before, each camp has a set of values they care about. So sometimes looking at the values within those camps and finding how a character would fit into those, it helped me. And these camps' values all have kind of a gray area to it, or almost like a yin and a yang, I guess. There's no camp that is 100% bad and no camp that is 100% good. Of course, people will have bias and opinions about different camps. Most characters can fit in most camps. It just might take a little bit of creativity to think about like why they are there. Each camp has parts of them that can be perceived as good and bad. So it kind of leaves room for a lot of different types of characters to fit in really any camp they want. So for example, my camp, Green Camp, sure, it has druidic power, it's nature-based, there's like a growth thing to it, there's a lot of good to it, and on its face you might think, well, that's clearly a good guy camp. The thing is, like every camp, there is that other side, mercilessness. They do care about nature, but nature is kind of merciless. It doesn't really care, it's a circle of life thing. Green Camp cares about the hunt, the wild, growth in nature, and mercilessness. Deep woodland creatures, nature powers. There's some like definite, lycanthrope or creature power. A lot of hunters, a lot of rangers, nature-based. I mean, you get it. Let's talk about Silver. Silver, their values are lawfulness and mercy, chivalry and noble virtue, decadence, and righteous wrath. Silver is Green's neighbor, and I spent a lot of time in Silver this year, and I'll talk about that when I talk about my time there. Silver's great. They are one of the smaller camps, that is for sure. So if you have a draw to knights, Arthurian kind of vibe, healing and mercy and kind of this peace, they can also throw down. That wrath is not to be played with. They got some pride over there. The Red Camp is up next. Red's values are action and deeds, valor and honor, craft and skill, and fury. So Red Camp is full of a lot of very, very, very good warriors. There's a lot of more action, less talk. They have even a little fight arena within their camp itself. It's very, very cool. I fought Red a couple times, and I respect Red. Red seems to me like it draws the type of people that they will not stab you in the back. They're going to try to cut you in half. They're going to give you the option to cut them in half first. But there is just this honor system and this kind of valor and like everyone being the strongest version of themselves. The fury level is very real. I mean, I was on the business end of that. And yeah, the Red doesn't play. Y'all don't play. Let's talk about Shadow Camp. Death and destruction, cunning and subterfuge, magical prowess, and thirst for power. You might be asking like, dog, it doesn't sound like there's a lot of good in there. Shadow's interesting. I think on that description, it's easy to take from that they fall into the bad guy category. And sure, there might be some scariness to it and kind of fear of the unknown, but that is something that they harness, and it's not always for bad. Their draw to magic isn't inherently a draw to evil. They're interesting. I'm hoping to get more time with Shadow this year. They're cool. They're kind of scary, but they are very cool. Lastly, let's talk about Blue Camp. Blue Camp's values are freedom, discovery, hospitality, and greed. Blue Camp. Y'all some party animals. Their avatar definitely sticks out. He has kind of a pirate thing going on, and they even refer to him as the captain. I would not say you have to be pirate vibe to be in blue, but I would be lying to say that there isn't a pirate attitude there. They are the largest camp. Freedom and music and drink and all of these wonderful things, but there's also this greed thing. The vibe I got, again, first year, could be dead wrong. When you have this massive camp of characters that are all very, don't tell me what to do, freedom above all else, it seems like it might be hard to rally. I don't know. I can't imagine getting that many people on the same page on a lot, but that's cool. That's a cool thing that kind of organically happens. Again, I could be dead wrong. Y'all might shoot a cannonball at me or something this year for saying that, but I don't know. And if you're thinking that the character you have in mind doesn't really fit in any of these camps, and you might even not want to take part in this competition between these camps, we're going back to this game being very good about leaving space and pathways for people to play exactly how they want, even if that means not taking part in the real game. Let's talk about the Bazaar. The Bazaar. The Bazaar. I love the Bazaar. The Bazaar has merchants, taverns, eateries, mercenary companies, quest boards. There's a pawn shop. And while there are vendors, people who take real money for weapons, costumes, a lot of like things you would see at a Ren fair. But these player enterprises themselves, most of them run off of in-game coin. It's also very nice to tip these player enterprises with real money. I know the coins are cool. They'll take coins too. Throw some money their way too. If you want to spend the week running a little business, having adventurers pass through, you can do that. I don't know, Bebo's Trinket Emporium, whatever you want to do. I had wonderful food, I had great coffee, I had good drink for in-game currency. Let me show you. For in-game currency, these little coins, it's awesome. The amount of work these people put into it just to make this event magic, it's just insane. It's insane. This is fully just my opinion, but I think year one, it would be good to take part in the egg competition. It helps kind of get an idea of how all of the competition runs, as well as it gives you time to also check out the Bazaar first before you jump headfirst into it. So we have the competition, we have the Bazaar, we have guilds, we have player characters, we have camps. That's the basic rundown of Drachenfest US. So now let me tell you about my first year at Drachenfest US. The character I play is Leuven Sapheart, a human who is raised by Minotaur. He has an affinity for making friends, long walks on the beach, and chopping down trees with his great big old axe. I got to the site early on Monday. I chose to show up early because I wanted to meet the people that I was going to be camping with, as well as help with setup and building of the wall to Green Camp. I got in, I got my character card, I got my wristband, and I was directed towards Green Camp. Green Camp is at the bottom of the hill of the event. It's up against the river. It is a really aesthetically pleasing site for Green Camp. It's a lot of big trees and shade and greenery around, as well that river running through. It was nice to cool ourselves down, but also just having kind of rolling water in the background the whole time, it added to the immersion quite a bit. So day one was just a lot of that. Meeting people, setting up camp, helping where I could. That's where I met and made friends with some of the other free agents of Green Camp. So within the camp, there are like little mini companies, I guess. Most of it is either organizers of the camp or little groups of friends that show up and want to be kind of a smaller faction within a faction. But free agents are people like me who just came alone and just didn't really have any affiliation with anyone. But it turned out to be a really cool and fun way for us to socialize, because it was like, hey, we're not tied to anyone. We don't know anyone. Why don't we just know each other? Huge shout outs for Tyr, Kova, Eamon, Dante. Wonderful little crew. Most of Monday, Tuesday were just camp setup. Taking little walks and seeing what people were setting up. It was really fun. It felt like something very big was coming, but being able to kind of see behind the scenes and see what people are working on. It was just great. Then came Wednesday. Of course, some final preparation for setup and the wall and stuff. And literally during the briefing, like as these reps are talking to us, we just see clouds, man. We just see dark clouds coming in over us.
Oh God, they try to drown me in this hole. I cannot see.
We got nailed by like a massive storm that day one. It was rough. I am fortunate enough that my stuff stayed dry. There were plenty of people that were not as lucky. I mean, there were tents that got fully taken out. There was, people come to this event in this decorum tents, these beautiful bell tents and all this stuff with furniture inside, like it looks like a palace in there. That just got nailed. High winds, a lot of rain. It was a stress test for sure. Right as the storm kind of mellowed out, there was definitely a feeling people's spirits were hit a little bit. But man, I immediately witnessed something that really set something for me about this event. And it is the people that take part in this thing. As the storm cleared and refs were, when people were able to step out of their tents and their rain cover, people sprung into action. I saw troops of people moving camp to camp, helping where they could. Me and some others went to Silver and were helping people Silver got rocked. Silver's wall fell over. I mean, it got nailed. It was a nasty, nasty storm. Folks were so ready to pitch in and help each other and get each other's belongings that they could and get things cleared and as dry as they could. It sucked. I wish that storm didn't happen, and I think a lot of people got nailed and some people left because of it. I also just saw a lot of humanity and a lot of people who were down to really, really help. It made me feel good as a new person coming into this setting and this event and this culture that it makes, and see the people that were taking part in it and looking after each other. It made me feel good. The schedule for the event got pushed back a little bit because of that storm, and the storms that hit basically every day. There was at least one a day.
We're getting cozy. Out here. We getting cozy out here.
What came next, even if it was a little bit later in the night, was the opening ceremony. It starts with this big kind of ritualistic circle thing, and all of the camps, like everyone, not just like delegates or anything, everyone shows up to this circle. And this summoner guy comes out and basically like brings forth each one of these dragons, each one of these avatars. Because before, these camps with setup and stuff, the avatar isn't there. This is the first time we see them. The magic summoner guy probably had a name, but I don't know, man. I swing axes at people. I wasn't in too deep with the circles of the magic users.
Because they're nerds.
Hilarious for me to be calling anyone a nerd about this one. I love this event. What was cool about it was as each one of these avatars came out and, of course, introduced themselves to the crowd and their camp and stuff, they also have this moment where they reconnect with the other avatars from the other camps, and it sets their attitude towards one another. You don't have to follow this. It's not, again, these aren't leaders, but it kind of is showing like how we feel about this other camp, how this avatar feels about how this other camp feels. It's like a little light contempt or like full-on predator, handshake thing. It's a fun way to set the tone of camps interacting with each other. And I think it's cool. So that night, I mean, it was a party. Most nights at Drachenfest end with revelry and merriment. But man, after that storm, it was like, man, I could use a drink. The in-character moments just started right away. I think people were really ready to get done up and like, let's start this thing. Let's go. Like, for instance, I was walking through the bazaar and a guy walks up to me and is like, yo, dude. I guess he didn't say yo, dude, but he was like, there's a guy over there who will pay you some money to go check out a tent. I was like, I'm broke. Somebody made a tent mimic. You know what a mimic is? Like one of those like chests, you know, with the teeth. Imagine that, but it's a tent, not a chest. So you get in that thing and this thing just showed up and people need to figure it out. So like I'm paying people to like go inside it and like inspect it. I ended up getting dragged away. I didn't end up getting to check out the mimic. I saw it, but I didn't get to go in it. And inevitably gotten chomped up by the chompy teeth. I would have died, which would have sent... Oh, shit. I have not talked about Limbus. I can't talk about Limbus. Limbus is the afterlife setting for Drachenfest. And it is its best kept secret. It's one of those, like, if you know, you know. I cannot say in this video what Limbus is. You have to come to see what Limbus is. Limbus rules. Limbus is just such a cool experience. Just do it. You don't need to know anymore. Just go to Limbus. Anyway, the night concluded with me walking home. There was some rapscallion, some fool who walked up to me who was like, empty your pockets, give me a coin or whatever. And I was like, some highwayman, you know, and I was like, yeah, like, who's this for? Is this for like a camp or you'll have like a toll system here? And he's like, no, it's for my pocket. And I was like, oh, this is just some guy. Like, I won't piss anybody off if I, you know,
Take care of him.
I was like, sure, dude, I think I have a copper. Grabbed a copper, flicked it on the ground, clink, clink, clink. And as he went down, I just did the whole shining, you know. And, yeah, that left him in the dark. Yeah, and then I went to bed. Thursday, due to, again, the weather pushing things back, I think things that happened Thursday morning were supposed to have happened the day before. It's okay. Weather's weather. No one can control it. But because of that, the next morning we had elections. So each camp has roles, like leadership roles, that players take part in. Everything from diplomat to general to champion to spy master. There's a whole list of things that every camp needs a figurehead or someone to be leading that side of the politics or the war game of this competition. Despite me having a great big old axe, Leuven is actually a pretty friendly and peaceful character. There's the whole tread softly and carry a big axe. If things go wrong, I can always just kind of give it the... Now, I wasn't the main diplomat of Green this year, but I was in the diplomat corps. This cannot just be a one-person thing. There could be a main person that's keeping the message clear, but you kind of need an ambassador group to be doing some legwork and be making these deals, because it's just too much for one person. Our main man, Scales, was the head diplomat. Kova was our homie for kind of the ambassador for Shadow. I was giving ambassador work for Silver specifically. And our main runner, I don't know, in the comments or whatever, everyone say, hell yeah, Cricket. My man, the cardio on this dude, this was like the message runner. This guy he could just run and just kind of keep going. He saved all of our feet so much. So, can I get a hell yeah, Cricket in the comments? And like I said, I was the ambassador to Silver. And I gotta say, Silver are wonderful. From what I understand, Silver and Green have always been pretty chill with one another, even from the first year of this thing. So, the work was already pretty done. I was just trying to keep up with them, making sure they had everything they needed. If we needed to assist them with anything, I was kind of just their go-between. So the overall plan, as it was told to me, was Green, which is the medium-sized camp, was wanting to connect with Silver and Shadow, which are the two smallest camps of the whole event. There's rumors of Red and Blue, the two biggest camps, joining forces, and I've heard words like the Red Tide or something like that, or the Crimson Tide. I don't know if they got some Alabamans in there or something. Roll damn Tide. Plans to get the three smallest camps together so that we could have even a chance against these two massive behemoths that were across the pond from us. And the plan that day, when we were trying to set it up, went tits up. This situation, I'm going to probably get parts of it wrong. I am just one person that was standing in one area seeing what I saw. But it did not go well, y'all. So I was actually that day, after chatting with Silver, I made my way to Shadow because I wanted to, help out with the diplomacy there. That one might have taken a little bit more work than Silver. Silver was like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah, sounds great. I get to Shadow and I just kind of, I check in my weapon and I'm like, hey, I'm an ambassador from Green. I'm here to speak for our main diplomat. The diplomat was not there, which is part of it. I was like, that's fine. I can hang out here for a second. I sat down with some very, very wonderful shadow people. And when I say wonderful shadow people, I mean some like wraiths and some terrifying ghouls and goblins. I waited there for quite a while. As I was sitting there, Shadow is then gearing up to go tear somebody up, some other camp. Like, people are getting armed up, gear up. I would say Leuven doesn't exactly look terribly green camp, like right off, but he can blend in. I didn't feel like, oh, I shouldn't be here, they shouldn't see me, but I was just kind of like in the background, like, these dudes are going to do something. They're gearing up. Shadow went down to red and started kicking down the door. And supposedly, while they were attacking, their diplomat was in red, drawing a peace pact with red as shadow forces were banging on the door. Fucking politicians. By the time I ran my sweaty ass back to Green, and I was like, hey, something's going down. Let's go help him out, because if we're trying to secure this thing with Shadow and Silver, let's go help them, because it's kind of a go now thing. By the time Green showed up, the siege was already over, and Shadow was back up at their camp. This is where the peace talk rumor started. I was not the main diplomat. I didn't hear every last detail, but I did hear the rumors being discussed amongst the just masses that, oh, Shadow was talking about peace. They were doing all this thing. And then they started kicking down the door. So there was this kind of this like, okay, do we need to do something about that? After that, a coalition of, I feel like it was every camp. I feel like there was bits and pieces of every camp. Again, I could be 100% wrong. It was just a mass of people. There was this like talk of like, does Shadow have their banner? Does this, does that, does that? And Red felt like madly like wronged and all this stuff. So it was just this like, who do we attack? Like, we were kind of here to fight off, like help keep Blue from helping them, but now Shadow's gone, so now we're just kind of standing here. And like, I'm a year one. I'm like, fucking these people, something's about to go down, but we don't really know what. And then this hodgepodge of camps made their way up to Shadow, and it got tricky. I didn't love that. I feel like it was a dog pile. A rumor about the diplomat being in the red camp could be fully not true. I don't really know. I still don't really know. But what I do know is that right after a siege, immediately following back up the hill to then go siege Shadow was just weird. I don't know. It definitely felt strange, and it felt like the numbers we had, it was just like, this is crazy. I immediately understood, like, we need to have through channels of communication, because this is a cluster. This is crazy. I don't know who's doing what. I don't know who's mad at what. At this point, people with cannons and spears are hanging out outside a wall, and they want to knock that wall over. Thing is, Shadow had an event that night. They had an event. It's like a masquerade ball. Very spooky and cool. That they were getting ready for, and it was just kind of getting down to the wire where it's like, we cannot fend off a siege and prepare for this wonderful banquet ball masquerade thing at the same time. So it was just this like, ooh, like, it didn't feel very good. And eventually some of the diplomats talked between Shadow and I think Red. There was some exchange of banners peacefully. I don't know. I felt like I was a little in over my head as far as the diplomacy stuff. I felt like, oh, this could get away from me very quickly. The mix of the weather and that whole situation, I will be real, I felt a little disheartened. I felt clunky, felt messy, and I felt like I didn't really have a grasp of the best way to play this role in this game. So I just decided, you know what, I'm not going to dwell on this. I'm going to do what you do at night at Drachenfest. I'm going to get a little party on. I'm going to hang out with some friends and talk about what that all was. That night is when I checked out Blue Camp and partook in y'all's partying scene. It was very fun. You were all wonderful hosts. I ended up stumbling my way back to back to Green Camp, and we're going back into people playing this game how they want. I just dealt with this whole political issue and this war game situation, and I was just like, this is hard. I don't really get how to do this. And then I run into some just wonderful folks that are just playing this game how they want to. Picture this. I am walking down a dark wooded path, trees looming over, moon in the sky and stuff. And I have my axe, but I'm not really in a fighty, I'm not on my toes. I just spent some time over at Blue Camp, right? Making my way down, and way down the road, I can see these dark cloaked figures, maybe 4 of them. They're all huddled around some weird glowing something going on. It's a crew of these people cloaked up, with these gray and gold and black marked masks. And as I get a little closer and I kind of take a little look-see into what they are, looming over. Like a hydra is, like a multi-headed dragon, right? Imagine that, but with like the heads of geese. So mind you, it is me and them. We're the only ones on this path right now. And as I'm going by, I don't exactly remember what they say, but it's along the lines of like, have you heard the good news? Do you have a moment to speak to me about our Lord and Savior, Jesus? And I was just kind of like, man, believe what you want to believe, man. There's all kinds of folks in this world. I'm going to get right past you, though. And so I kind of just made my way past, and that was not the last time I saw these dudes. Maybe the big axe helps with cultists not messing with you. So Friday was a slow start. I think that might come with whenever you put some time in over at Blue Camp. So I did a little laundry, dried off some stuff, washed some stuff that did get wet, the clothes I was, helping people in, the muddy and stuff like that. So I got a little laundry in, got a little breakfast. I took a dip into the creek now that it was clear and not so muddy from the rain. I got cleaned up and I made my way to Silver Camp. As I walk in, I see like on a little pedestal, one of these goose cultists. Full cloak, full mask, done up, and there is like a crowd around it. This guy isn't like speaking to the crowd. It's a trial. The group that I was just like alone in the dark with, turns out they killed a couple people. I don't know, maybe they like smelled breadcrumbs in their pocket or something. I don't know. During this trial, one of the funniest moments, I think, in the whole event, maybe in my whole time doing this silly little hobby, the removal of the guy's mask. It seemed like there was a roleplay beat that the mask couldn't just be taken off. There was something like a magical enchantment or something that was keeping that thing on that guy's face. The people that were trying this goose cultist brought in some kind of magic user. This magic user had some magic knife thing that could cut it, could remove the mask. So we're all watching, and it was intense. Like, it was this whole trial, and they're like, oh, you did this, and it's like, damn, this is kind of serious. The magic user comes up with this magical knife and cuts the mask off of this cultist. And I shit you not, as they take the mask off of this person, it's just another mask underneath. I died laughing. So that day, after checking in with Silver, seeing how they were feeling about the day before and making sure we're all still down to keep trying for this alliance, which they were, there was this crew, this large group of people showed up. It's a kind of a coalition of fighters from every camp. And it really was just a bunch of people that was just kind of antsy to fight. I think the weather, the weird siege confusion the day before, I think there was a lot of people who were just like amped to like, let's fight, let's go, let's do it. I want to swing a sword at somebody. This contingent of fighters were like, hey, we don't have to mess up any politics if we go to the bazaar and go mess with the companions. The companions are a large mercenary force for hire. And so, a bunch of idiots with swords showing up to go fight some maybe slightly richer idiots with swords. What's not to like? Get some of the willies out, Boy, no one told me that the bazaars got hands. So I'm going to tell you how this fight went. Myself and this whole gang of fighters, we come marching up to the bazaar. I was expecting mercenary force, somewhat around the same size as us. It felt like, okay, these people must know what they're doing. I think we're good here, right? Not only did the companions show up, it seems that the bazaar has like a defense pact thing or something, because it felt like every store owner and everyone who was just there were like, I didn't hear no bell. We got rocked. That fight was crazy. We got our licks in for sure, but like, man, it was not just beating up on some mercs. It was like, man, I feel like I'm getting dragged across the mud by like storekeepers. And one of those things that the bazaar has at their disposal is a giant soup cauldron. From what I understand, the broth hall, which is a wonderful place to eat, they make great soup every day, wonderful, very, very, very cool and nice people. I think from what someone told me is that the broth hall got a hold of an egg at some point in a year before, and the game was like, what do you want for that? And they were like, we want a monster. In this game, big monsters like that, that's not just like a player character, that's like, it's basically a siege weapon. That is a hard thing to kill. That thing comes rolling up and is just laying waste to people. On my end, I am kind of a backline fighter, somewhat. You know, I don't have a shield or anything, but I'm trying to keep people who are trying to flank the shield wall with my axe, trying to stop people. Having a great time. This is fun as hell. I had a great time. Losing is fun. Play to lift. Losing is fun. Play to lift. I'm fighting alongside this guy who has a flail, and we're fighting this like mage character, the guy who had the tent mimic situation going on. And then an arrow nails me in the side. Boom, done. Hit the deck. So picture this. You just took an arrow to the side. There is battle all around you. You're kind of just there bleeding to death. And then, and then from above you, there is a large shadow that just kind of looms over you. And you just kind of hear,
Hungry.
and I look up to the fucking cauldron thing. Chomp, chomp, chomp. There goes Leuven. It kind of felt like we didn't know what we were getting into. I know I certainly didn't. And again, I'm not going to tell you the details about Limbus. The one thing I will say is that myself, homie with a flail, and the mage we were fighting, we all went together. Going into this Afterlife gameplay with people that you were fighting with and actively against was very fun. So I do the secret stuff that happens at Limbus, make my way back to Green Camp. And as I'm coming back, Red is like sieging the wall. And I just gotta say, like, Green put up a good fight, but Red just, they were just there, man. There's a lot of people, and y'all are good fighters, and there's a lot of you. It was just like, oh God, after all I'd been through, I was like, I'm done for fighting for a little bit. At least I thought so, because I was then tasked, hey, you need to go let Silver know that, like, Red is, you know, they're taking names, they're hitting spots. So I was like, okay, here we go. I can probably get some diplomacy going. And I also mentioned before I left to our wonderful general over at Green, like, hey man, let's get some people ready, because if Green gets hit, Silver's also going to get hit. We got to look out for each other here. We're able to see Silver from Green, so it was like, if you see Red over there, come a-running. As I got to Silver and was giving them the warning, Red showed up. And this was the Siege of Silver. One of the coolest battles I have ever taken part in. Silver's a small camp, but man, they hold their own. Like that crew held back some nasty fighters. It was very impressive. I should have asked more names, but when you're fighting people, it's hard to catch names. But there's a gal who she kind of had a dwarf thing going on, and she had, you know, that great big shield saved me from more arrows than I could count. So whoever you were, appreciate it. And that fight had to have been an hour. I mean, they busted the wall open, but like they just couldn't get through those walls. It was very impressive. You know, Red had like ballistas set in front of the camp, shooting them back and forth. It was like artillery shooting at each other. It was just like everywhere you looked. It was awesome. It was just so awesome. And, you know, as this fight is going, Silver is healing their people. Red have their own healers, so they're doing their own thing. So it's this like war of attrition. Who can outlast who? And I can see over the wall down the road a little bit. I see Green showing up, and they just come in and like steamroll that force out there. And then Silver's like, all right, it's go time. So it's just this like pincher maneuver. I remember seeing people go out, chase, you know, the people on that ballista off, and then all of a sudden I see Silver guys turn it around and start shooting at them. It was just like, we gotta win. We gotta win under our belt, and it felt good. It felt organized. It felt just solid. And after all that, the Silver Diplomat Corps was like, hey, we have this little party getting together at our spa this evening. you absolutely should come. The War Master of Shadow is also attending. I think it's a great time for us to fully talk about this alliance. And I said, yes, let's actually do this thing. Let's make it happen. And man, when Silver does a party, you know, it might not be as rambunctious as Blue, but man, roast pig and cocktails and wine and togas and stuff. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. It's also just a really cool way to like discuss diplomacy and politics. But after that night, it was kind of hammered in, at least in, 2025, the eternal cycle. The idea was, Silver is this kind of life bringer, Shadow has a little bit of the darker, and then Green is this, circle of life thing. So the eternal cycle it's a cool name. The next day was Saturday, and there was a lot of prep going into the final battle. And my prep for that was finally checking out Cursed Coffee, another wonderful enterprise in the Bazaar. And I gotta say, like, not even just the best coffee I have had at that event. That is just some of the best coffee I've ever had. So those who put that wonderful enterprise together, it's just thank you. It's awesome. Tip these people, throw money at these people. There's a really cute thing about it too is, you can pay in-game currency for this coffee, but it's called Cursed Coffee for a reason, to where you can get it for free. I'm pretty sure it's free, maybe a discount. You can get it for a lot less for being cursed for an hour. So after you get your coffee, they randomly choose a curse. The two people in front of me, one of them got a curse where they were not able to see spoons for an hour. Who knows? I don't know if that would ever come up once. And the other person was really funny. They could not look at a green hill or a meadow without frolicking in it. There was just like they had an insane urge they could not ignore. I was a bit of a party pooper because I was exhausted. So I just threw the copper and some tip and wonderful coffee. You got to try Cursed Coffee. Do not miss it. So after a little bit of Tylenol for my poor feeties, we got ready for the final battle. Now the final battle is all these camps getting together and this main field at the top of the camp. There's no walls or anything. Well, there's a one in the background, but there's no sieging going on. It's kind of just an open field battle. Green got up there first. We're looking good. And then across the field, we see Red come in. They're just militant and terrifying. And then Blue shows up, and it was like their battle formation was a dance circle. It was awesome. But it was like, fuck, man, like, we're just standing and seeing this sea of people, and it's like, oh, this is gonna be brutal. All the stresses, all the tricky weather, the long travel days, the build days, all this stuff where there's a lot of work that went into this thing, and I think it like made up for it as soon as Silver and Shadow showed up. Seeing that alliance stand together and seeing all this work come together. I'm looking down this line. We have Green, a lot of primal warriors and archers and these rangers and these monsters. Next to us is Silver. I mean, Silver is just glowing. They radiate the sun. They are just this gorgeous pearl on this field. Then Shadow has this giant bat creature, and there's these hoods, and there's a troop of orcs, by the way, that work with Shadow. They're kind of their own thing, but they were homies with Shadow. It is just gnarly, like Urukai looking get-ups and stuff. Just twisted, cool, magic kind of gothic warriors. It just, and to tie it all together, all of our artillery batteries sat next to each other, and each one of these weapons really, really showed what camp they're representing. Green's cannon is a literal log. Silver's is this like almost naval looking one. Shadow has this like, it looks like this arcane crystal cannon thing. It's gorgeous. The orcs have like a ballista that they're shooting fake limbs at people. Man, I tell you, when that battle kicked off, it was bonkers. Shield walls, monsters breaking through those walls, volleys of arrows, artillery firing back and forth, knocking lines over. There were these one-on-one duels that were kicking off between the main lines, these really theatrical, awesome fights. And I saw these duels happening, and I was like, I gotta get in on that. The first one I won, and it made it into the trailer. It was pretty cool. Give him the bow. And then I lost the second one, and it also made it into the trailer. It really felt like a big fantasy real-time strategy game or something. It was just, so much going on, and I mean, the footage and the pictures just don't do it justice. Just the kind of chaos of it. It just, oh, you know, we made them work for it, but in the end, we did lose. It was then down to red and blue. They can kind of go body for body. They have a lot of people, and it's the Crimson Wave. And eventually, they had to fight each other. There can only be one winner, and blue ended up being victorious. So, congratulations to blue. Y'all earned it. It was very fun fighting against y'all. And in the end, we had our final closing ceremony. Silver did a wonderful recap, kind of interpretive dance thing of what happened that year. That was amazing. And the rest of the evening was spent, you know, with drinks and merriment with friends, just kind of talking about how amazing this event was, what we enjoyed, what we want to do again, what we want to change for next year. Sunday I packed up and did some help with some teardown and stuff. And then, yeah, the adventure had ended for the year. And man, will I attend this event again? I don't think it'll be much of a surprise. 100%. You'll see me in June, Drachenfest. I will be there. Someone recently described LARPing to me in a really nice way. That it is an art installation, not so much for an audience or onlookers, but for those who are taking part in it and are building that world together. I really liked that description. And I think Drachenfest really hammered that home to me in a very acute way. Something I think I've mentioned in an earlier video is whether you are playing a tabletop game with friends or a video game or whatever, the story stops when you stop, for the most part. If the spotlight is no longer on the player, that world kind of stops. Drachenfest is a living story. I mean, you just kind of look around this landscape and see it happening in front of you. You can take a break. You can sit on the sidelines and watch it happen. You can look around and see these stories being made. If you spend time in the bazaar, find a nice place to sit, get yourself a cursed coffee or whatever, and just listen. Just hearing little snippets of stories from people that I know I'll never know the full story of what they're dealing with. It can make your head spin if you try to follow every single one. But the point isn't to follow every single one. The point is to follow yours, is to make yours, is to carve your own tale. This is a great event for that. I am just quite grateful to be a member of this community and to know and meet so many wonderful people that make it what it is. So, if it sounds cool to you, man, give it a shot. There's plenty more stories to be told. Thank you for watching.